Thanks for joining us today. We're so happy that Susan can join us from HESSCO Elder Services. It's probably a name you've heard us say before, but maybe you really aren't aware of all the things that they do. Susan's the Community Relations Manager for HESSCO, and thank you so much for being here today. Just a reminder to you all that this is being recorded for cable, so if you would prefer not to be seen, this is a good time to turn off your video, and I'll give you the floor, Susan. Thank you so much.
Hello, and thank you for having me. I imagine people are somewhat familiar with HESSCO. We've been in business since 1977, and we've been successfully providing services to older adults since COVID without really much of a glitch, like everybody else, just getting creative. We are an ASAP, which is an Aging Services Access Point here in Massachusetts. We cover southern Norfolk County, which is 12 towns, including Walpole. And there are 26 ASAPs, just like HESSCO, all over the state, covering their own communities. I think it's great because we get to know a certain group of towns that are very similar. I mean, while Walpole may be different than Sharon and Norfolk, there's a lot of similarities in these communities. Our mission at HESSCO is to provide older adults and individuals living with disabilities services and resources to provide a higher quality of life. We strive to ensure that all older adults will experience a high quality of life. One of the ways we do that is through many services that we provide. Our information and referral department is one of our key components. This department is via telephone. We get call-ins all day long. What they do range from is information on housing. It could be people calling in about, you know, look, I'm looking to modify my bathroom. Do you have any suggestions on who we can use? We get a range of questions, and this group is highly educated on what they talk about. This is a free service. Folks call in. There's no eligibility when we talk to them. There's no requirements. It's just resource sharing. And I encourage you all to consider anything that comes up that you're looking for. HESSCO is a phone call away and happy to help you with anything. Our next department that people mostly know is our Meals on Wheels through our nutrition department. Our nutrition department has been very busy and busier since COVID. Prior to COVID, HESSCO was delivering about 500 meals a day. And since COVID, we are delivering 700 meals every Monday through Friday. It's been busy. Our volunteers are our lifeline when it comes to the nutrition program. Our volunteers are the folks who actually deliver the meals. So in each of these 12 communities, we've got volunteers delivering meals and with new protocols. What now is in place are masks are worn. There is strict hand sanitizing between each delivery, and there's social distance deliveries, which really means we knock on the doors and we drop off the package at the doorstep, whether that's on the handle or at the step. We're very cautious not to enter into the homes. When this all kind of came about back in March and April, we thought it's best if we delivered a YouTube video to our volunteers so they could understand how different the protocol is and what's involved now, so everyone is safe. The nutrition program, again, is gearing up for a busy fall season because we think, well, we hope we're wrong, but we think this fall is going to get busier once again with people not being able to go to the grocery stores or not feeling comfortable being out and about. Hopefully we're wrong about that. Another department that HESSCO is really well known for is our home care program. The home care program provides care management, homemaking, personal care, and at one point, transportation. Prior to COVID, this was all done by folks going to the homes. Since then, we've had to make a lot of changes, and we are doing this telephonically, with brief check-ins via Zoom sometimes. We're emailing. We've found different creative ways to be in touch with our folks who need home care services. Just recently, we've gotten back to brief meetings at the doorstep, where we can kind of assess somebody and have a nice conversation. We are still very, very careful not to enter. If it's necessary, we do with strict protocols in place with PPE as well. The eligibility for our home care services is that you must be over age 60, and there are financial parameters and need for services that with an assessment that's in place. The home care program is very well utilized at HESSCO. The other program, which I think you recently heard about from HESSCO, is our Family Caregiver Support Program. This also is a free service designed for someone who is caring for someone else. It could be a grandparent caring for grandchildren. It could be a caregiver caring for a family member. But this caregiver support program through Haley Stansberry is basically providing resources and support options so the caregiver doesn't experience burnout. There's an awful lot of stress on caregivers, and there's a lot of resources and counseling that's out there. She does a great job connecting the dots with those resources for the caregivers who need it. The SHINE department at HESSCO, SHINE standing for Serving the Health Insurance Needs of Everyone, is a very busy department, especially during Medicare open enrollment. What the SHINE counselors do is provide options for healthcare that is very specific to each person. We could get a call saying, I potentially have a surgery scheduled for January. Do I have the right coverage? Could you guide me into something else that might be more financially beneficial for me? That's just one small example, but they go through your particular health insurance needs and coverage and kind of tailor things to your needs and tell you about what options are best suited for you. This also is a free service, which is wonderful. And we've got counselors available in 22 towns, even beyond our HESSCO service 12 towns. We cover additional towns more towards the South Shore area. So these counselors are highly trained and really know the lingo of insurance. I highly encourage you to take advantage of the SHINE program and reaching out if you have any questions whatsoever on your insurance and needs and what potential changes are coming down the road. All of our SHINE counseling for this upcoming open enrollment will be done remotely. We're not encouraging folks to meet one-on-one. We're saying best to do this over the phone or by Zoom or email or faxing, that sort of thing. So we're kind of keeping that, like many other services, at a distance in virtual. Our Ombudsman program is a program where trained volunteers go into the nursing homes to advocate for the residents. They want to make sure that the residents' rights are being upheld, that they're being heard. But this program was highly impacted during COVID. As many of you know, nursing homes were not allowing people in during March and April and May. I think things have lightened up a little bit over the last few months, and family members and visitors are somewhat allowed in facilities now. But the Ombudsman's program was working remotely for quite a while and still checks in using various sources of resources with, again, I've heard people doing this with iPads, telephone calls. There's many ways to get through to people, even though we couldn't see them in face-to-face. Nothing like a face-to-face visit though, but doing the best we can with that. Other services that HESSCO provides are protective services. We've got a very busy protective service program. We provide options counseling, which is more in depth and goes through literally things that you may need on a more tailored basis, and legal services that we partner with. We rely heavily on our volunteers at HESSCO. We have 800 volunteers at this time. We couldn't do it without them. Volunteers are key and critical to the success of our Meals on Wheels program. Basically, as I mentioned earlier, they are the folks out there delivering the meals every day, 12 communities. They actually are the eyes and ears. They make sure that when they deliver that meal, they see somebody, even if it's at a distance, that someone has at least opened the door. Because if they hadn't, they would report that as a person like, what, we can't reach them. They try to make a phone call. If they could not reach them further, we take it the next step. So it's more than a meal delivery. This volunteer is a key component to checking in on the person. Volunteers for HESSCO are also involved with our SHINE program. They're the trained counselors, and the Nursing Home Ombudsman program. We usually have a volunteer appreciation event each spring. However, with COVID, that did not happen, but it certainly does not mean we are so appreciative and dedicated to all of our volunteers. We encourage you all, if you have just as much as 1 hour a week, to consider volunteering for HESSCO. We would happily take a 1 hour meal delivery. That would be wonderful for us. We always need assistance in various capacities, so if you have a little bit of time, consider HESSCO. It's a really worthwhile and rewarding experience. We have an upcoming event I'd like to share with you all. It is our Age Well event. This is our 16th annual event. Usually it's a wonderful day of relaxation and resource sharing held at Lake Pearl Luciano's in Rentham. This year it's going to be a virtual event. It'll be a 2-hour Zoom event. We have 2 great speakers sharing their experience. One is Pam Garamoni. She is a wonderful positive psychology speaker who will talk about resilience. And I think that's the topic that we can all relate to right now. She will kind of delve into positivity and how to navigate through these uncertain times and things that we can control and keep ourselves in a good space. Also, Carrie McCarthy is the director of the Norwood Senior Center. She is going to provide some tips on how to stay connected with your senior centers. I know you've got a great group here in Walpole, and it's important to kind of keep those connections going. COVID can't change everything. There's ways we've found through technology, like you're Zooming today, that we can stay connected. So our Age Well event is free to all. We'd love to have you join us. It's on September 29th at 9:30 a.m. I can leave some information on how to register. We do ask folks to register just so we can accommodate all the folks on Zoom. I think Zoom has a capacity of 100 people. We hope we have that problem of turning people away, but we'll see. I think we have 50, 51, 52 people registered at this point. It's going to be a wonderful experience. Hopefully a couple of raffle prizes sprinkled in there as well. We'll see how this goes. I'm excited. I know it's not quite the same feeling of having a great buffet at Luciano's, but it should be a nice event. So HESSCO has gotten a little creative in getting involved with some of our Meals on Wheels, but in a different capacity. We supported the Book and Bite program that the town of Westwood got involved with. This summer, the Westwood Council on Aging and the Westwood Library collaborated to create a Book and Bite program where they would give a book to a senior and provide a lunch, a sandwich. Folks kind of turn this into a little book club, remotely sharing their thoughts and takeaways on the book. I saw folks outside on a park bench having their sandwich, reading a book. It was lovely. It was a great concept to kind of connect people. And I think people felt that they could enjoy reading again. It was a popular activity each week. And I think this could take off to other towns. I think this was just a neat endeavor. The other small initiative that HESSCO got involved with was the grab and go lunches, which I think you've experienced here in Walpole. And that again was another way of having folks, maybe you were used to coming and sitting down and grabbing a meal. Well, this is not quite the same, but still you can get a great meal. You might see your friend over 2 cars over, you can give her a wave and kind of be part of something that wasn't quite the same, but it certainly is not all gone. We can kind of keep connecting people through these various creative ideas. I encourage you to utilize HESSCO's services. If you have any questions or concerns or interest in hearing more about what we offer, we'd love you to call us. I'm going to leave our telephone number with Debbie or in the chat, whichever is best. And our ways to contact us, our website, HESSCO.org, is a wonderful site with all the resources that I've been mentioning. We have a few new YouTube video segments, short segments that we are exploring as a way of communicating some of our new services or enhanced services. We recently did a YouTube video on our protective services, which was a great reminder to people about what protective services does and doesn't do. And it's not something to be feared, but something to be utilized if needed. That's just one example. We did a YouTube video on our protective meal delivery so people can get an idea of how that's done now. So there's a lot of resources at HESSCO. We'd love you to come explore. Feel free to ask us any questions. We're here to help the community.
I just have one question about dental care as far as Medicare and so forth. Is there any changes in that coverage at all? Do you know of any inexpensive way to get dental care instead of spending $1,000 every time you go to the dentist?
That's a great question. I'm not savvy in that particularly, but I imagine our information and referral folks would know that through and through. Because that's an important point. The amount of money people spend, I know, same with hearing and hearing needs, hearing aids. These things can get outrageous. And I would encourage you to call our information referral. I would be shocked if they didn't have some suggestions for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions for Susan? Yes, Linda?
Just about access to people that are available to do like home improvement that are, you know, can be recommended. I know there's lots of ways online you can do it. There's a lot of websites, but I mean, I'm thinking that elderly people, you know, on fixed incomes, but they're still in their property and they need certain groundskeeping things or maintenance on their house. Does HESSCO also have people or know of people that would do, you know, painting and carpentry and all that?
Another great question. I recall seeing when you mentioned groundskeeping that we did have a few folks on a list that we had experience with that we thought were very appropriate, that we recommended or could pass on the information. I imagine that's true too of interior work. Yeah, I would be, I'm sure we are a resource that we could help you with that.
Right.
Our information referral department, they've heard it all.
Yeah.
Great. Well, as you know, Susan, and many of you know that HESSCO certainly has a special place in my heart. I had worked there prior to coming to Walpole, and always remarkable how wonderful the collaboration was, and it continues to be, between HESSCO and the Councils on Aging. You know, we have Laurel as our outreach worker, who's absolutely wonderful, and I know we call on HESSCO a lot, and there's a lot of information sharing back and forth. In my e-news, which I think many of you, if not most of you, get on this call, if you haven't signed up for the emails yet, please call the center and give me your email address. We send weekly newsletters, and there's a lot of information that I get from HESSCO that I share in there. Last week, I put in the great PSA on the census that was just done, and it's on their YouTube channel. The Age Well with HESSCO Day, the flyers in there, and information on how to register. And yeah, you can always call HESSCO or call us, and we can give you the phone number if you have any questions. Thank you so much, Susan. I'm so happy you joined us today.
Well, thank you for having me. It's wonderful.
I've got a quick question.
Oh, sure, Phil, go ahead.
What are the requirements to volunteer to be a Meal on Wheels participant?
Our volunteer process is that we do ask people to fill out an application simply to kind of gather some contact information. And a part of that is that we need a signature on a HIPAA form because we want folks to remain confidential with what they might see or hear. And part of that as well is a query check. we are required to have all of our volunteers CORI checked. That's all part of the application. That can be sent out through the mail or through email. Once the CORI comes back as cleared, literally the nutrition department reaches out to you and has you come in for a small training. They'll kind of walk you through what this process is all about and walk you through the new PPE protocols. And that's it. You're off and running.
What are the hours that the drivers go out at and come back at?
Typically, this is a Monday through Friday situation, and we start around 11 o'clock and end at about noontime.
Okay, sounds good.
We try to organize routes in each town so that they're somewhat grouped geographically. We wouldn't want you zigzagging, you know, north, east, west, and that's willy-nilly. We try to kind of organize the routes so that you might have maybe perhaps 10 stops, 10 homes, and they'd be somewhat geographically close together.
Are there routes available here in Walpole?
Available at this moment. I never turn down a volunteer, Phil. I wouldn't be surprised if we do. Things change by the day right now.
And do you have to do it 5 days a week?
No. Oh my goodness, no. We wouldn't ask that. That's an awful lot to ask. We suggest we would love it if you could commit to 1 day a week. You know, for example, if Tuesday's an open day for you, we'll take that every Tuesday. That would be amazing. But 1 day is just, that's fantastic.
All right, I'm glad I asked. That's it for me.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Phil. And thank you again, Susan. Always great to see you.
Thanks, Debbie. You too.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Stay safe.
Stay safe.